Hello and welcome to Tax Matters. I am Pearl Naimeka.
And I am Chiamaka Ohaochi.
VAT is still trending. That is to say, VAT rate in Nigeria to increase or not to increase. Last episode, we decided to weigh in on the debate as to the desirability or otherwise of increasing the rate of VAT in Nigeria. And we did this by giving the people their voice. Our crew went to town to sample opinions. Because of time constraints, we could only serve you with a little from what we brought back. We intend to bring you more today, plus the introduction of a defining product aimed at bringing in more revenue from VAT. By the way, do you bet?
Depends on what you mean.
I mean, do you place bets on the English Premier League or at those kiosks that you see on the street corners?
I don't place bets, but I know it is gaining currency in the Nigerian space.
The tax authorities are moving in to collect what is due to us all from that growing sector. That is the focus on today's episode of Tax Matters. But first, let's hear some more from our respondents. VAT rate in Nigeria, to increase or not to increase?
So there's been this talk about an increase in VAT in Nigeria, which is currently at 5%. Yes. So what do you think about that?
Okay, I think it was last week that information was trending. Increasing VAT, we do a lot of damage to the economy because I can see this came as a result of an attempt to increase salary. So I won't advise the federal government to go ahead with that decision, because doing so we create an inflation in an economy, and already you can see many people are passing through difficulties, presently. So by increasing VAT, we will add more to the challenge of people.
So what source then do you think the government can tap into?
Well, they should look within. There are some other sectors that government needs to tap into. Mining sector is in ab initio. We've been focusing on oil. We've been focusing on, I think, for the past 3 years now. I think federal government is now focusing on agriculture, which is now yielding results. We can see the results now. So they can as well look into other sectors like mining. Mining too is doing very well.
There is no need for any increment in value-added tax. The 5% we are paying is enough. Prior to increment of minimum wage, there was no such like that. It's because government now increased, but government is now looking for a way to take it back. So there's no need for 5% at all. The 5% we are paying, how diligently government is using it and how faithful are we to it, I don't think there's any increment needed here.
So if there's no need for an increment, what other alternative do you think the government can source to fund the government? Because we all know that the government needs money.
Definitely, government needs money. The public office holders, the political appointment, how are they paying their own dues? If they are paying their own, so you can imagine what we are going to get if they are paying their own dues. They have large sum of money to play with. They can be, and everybody that do business in Nigeria need to pay something. Even the pure water sellers. Imagine the pure water sellers in Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Abuja. If they pay 10 naira per month, you can imagine what we can get. The people that is hawking orange, the Okada rider, let them pay something. It's not only the working class or the business owner or the person that has signage that you can need to run around with.
So there's been this talk about an increase in VAT in Nigeria, which currently stands at 5%. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's okay at 5%, and increasing it by any amount more than 5% will be too significant, especially when it comes to revenue generation. For now, I think Nigeria has enough revenue to spread around all the 36 states than for it to increase its tax through VAT. What it means is that people will pay more. Now, the question you ask is that the sources of funds that they have they utilized all of them? Why concentrate on VAT?
Okay, so what other, since no, so what other source do you think the government can then tap into?
The Nigerian economy right now don't have to look for sources of revenue. What Nigeria economy needs to do is to maintain what they have. How do we talk about maintenance? When you derive revenue from tax, how do you use it? What is the public measure of this revenue that has been generated? Who gets this money? How do you spread it? It's not about revenue generation, but it's about maintaining what we have, sustaining Nigerian economy as it is. Give us lights, give us public amenities, give us social health benefits, give us good health, give us good facilities.
There is no need for increase in VAT in Nigeria at the moment. The reason being that the present 5% VAT has not been fully exploited by way of implementation, because there are so many sectors, partially informal and some formal sector, that have not been paying their VAT. So government should drive VAT collection to improve the revenue for the country.
So if you don't support an increment in the rate of VAT, what other source do you think the government can tap into as an alternative?
Yeah, there are 1001 alternatives for this country. Apart from oil, what are we doing about mineral mining? I've not heard government any revenue from mining, like quarry and all those stuff. There are other areas that government can go into and get revenue apart from oil. Are you getting it? So there are other areas there. What government really need to do is to drive value-added tax collection in the country. We have over 2 million companies in Nigeria who are supposed to be paying VAT every month, and government should try to drive that collection. Our problem in this country is collection. That is just my take for now.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Welcome once again. Now to the story of the earth-shaking event that took place on Monday, the 8th of April 2019. As if in response to the call of commentators and some of our respondents that just spoke, for a widening of the VAT base, that is to say, to collect VAT more diligently from more people, as well as collecting agents to remit what they collect, the FRS is collaborating with the National Lottery Regulatory Commission for an automated system for collecting VAT from the lottery and gaming industry.
You know that these things take time to plan, and so it's obvious that it's been in the offing for some time. It all goes to show that the FIRS is working, that the FIRS is constantly on its toes. This is surely coming at the right time.
The Executive Chairman FRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, led the high-powered team from the FRS to the ceremony.
When people talk about lottery, they talk about winning. I believe that this discussion will enable all of us to win. Whether you play lottery or not, we're all winners, because the tax revenue is used to improve the standard of living of both you and I. In terms of what we're trying to introduce today, is to improve the transparency, accountability, and the convenience in the payment of any tax.
Mr. Lanre Bajabiamila is the DG National Lottery Regulatory Commission.
Taxes paid for roads, public housing, primary health care, education, and any other public welfare intervention. Value-added tax is essentially a consumption tax. It is the tax payable by the consumer on the value added at each stage in the supply chain of the delivery of a product or service. In the gaming industry, products and services are generally offered through agents who are commonly in direct contact with the players. Lottery agents seldom collect VAT from players, resulting in revenue losses to governments. The need for all-inclusive solution cannot be overstated. The potential of lottery as a tool for social economic development is well known. Our collective will is needed at this time to overcome this hindrance and pave way towards sustained future growth.
The occasion was graced by representatives of the Senate Committee on Sports and the Chairman National Lottery Trust Fund. Representatives of the consulting firm to the project made presentations to stakeholders in attendance.
The platform which we intend for the automation of the VAT is going to be primarily based online, because the focus of the FRS at this stage is to create a seamless way where people can pay their VATs, remit their VATs. In this particular instance, this is tailored to the lottery industry. Let's take, for example, each ticket is 100 naira. The betting does not include currently the VAT component of which we seek to add to it. And the VAT component, as we all know, is 5% of every transaction. In this particular bet slip now, going forward, there should be, in addition to all these other items that are at the very bottom, there should be a 5% VAT, which is chargeable on this transaction to the consumer. Not to the operators, but to the consumer. Is this not double taxation? And the answer is no, because the person actually paying the VAT is the player. The agents and subsequently the operators are simply collecting the VAT on behalf of FIRS.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
The occasion lived up to its billing as an engagement session as stakeholders in attendance bared their minds.
I think we need to clarify between lottery as in pools betting and sport betting, because for lottery, you know, it's a lump sum. All the monies are gathered from the players, and then of course some taxes are removed, and then you pay a particular sum back to the winners. But in sport betting, you have a scenario where sometimes 95%, 98% are paid back. Sometimes you even have losses. That's where the major problem is coming, when you are lumping the lottery and the sport betting together. So that needs to be distinguished.
A transaction in lottery is not concluded placing a bet. It is concluded at the time when the result is out, when the player knows if he has won or lost. We cannot apply VAT on total stake, as the case is. It has to be on GGR.
All we are saying is, once there is a transaction, for every transaction that is not exempted from VAT, then the VAT will be charged. It has completely nothing to do with whether you win or you lose. It has nothing to do whether it is a profit or a loss. It's a transactional event. And that means whether it is profit or loss, before we consider loss or profit, the VAT element of it has completely been taken care of. All FRS and NLRC are doing here right now is that we want that system to be automated.
I want to talk on behalf of sports betting operators because I don't know too much about the lottery industry. I got a few issues, and it's the mode of charging the VAT. Now you want to charge it at the top level, which is on every stake. To me, this shows a bit of lack of understanding of the industry. And I'm going to give a real life example. For example, on Saturday, Tottenham is going to play Huddersfield in the Premier League. And a punter can choose, I want to play on Spurs to win or draw Huddersfield. And the odds is 1.05. What that means is that if he puts 100 naira, he's going to get 105 naira. That's 5 naira in profit, right? So when I expect the same customer to put 100 naira, pay 5 naira VAT to win 5 naira. What I'm trying to say is that there must be another mode of collecting VAT. That's if there's going to be VAT at all. There should be another mode of collecting it rather than from the top level. Telling them to pay it from the stake, it's almost impossible, because what it means is that customers will leave our platforms because they are no longer betting, they are no longer hoping for anything in return. They're already paying it. So why? Because about 50% goes on such bets that I just mentioned now. So they will start looking for companies where they can place their bets, right? So they'll look for the companies that are not regulated. They'll look for foreign companies, and don't let's deceive ourselves that we're going to clamp on them, that people will not be able to access it. They will access it. They will access, so it's going to ruin our business.
Firstly, I want to say that for the users of the betting industry, it looks as if regulators and LRC are seeing them as consumers. As long as you see them as consumers, you will keep charging VAT on deposit on the stakes. If you see them as investors, then the issue of charging VAT on deposits will not arise. Like Mr. Akialabi said, you know, somebody puts in 100 naira and wins 5 naira, which is actually supposed to be his return on investment. That return on investment, you're supposed to charge that VAT on the return on investment rather than on the 100 naira, which is his investment. And that's for me a key issue that has to be looked at, you know, in trying to charge VAT on the users.
The executive chairman FRS responded swiftly to his observation.
Now, why we're here is to discuss the way forward. But tax has to do with law. And the law says that for any service, you pay 5% VAT on everything that's vatable, regardless of what you win or what you lose. Now, you've got to be aware that we're automating VAT collection across various industries, across various businesses, whether it's an airline, whether it's lottery, across the nation. Now, you mentioned about foreign bets. If you carry out your foreign bet and you go through your bank or your bankers to make that payment, it will also be charged VAT. So we're looking at it not just only for the lottery, but for all businesses. Then when you're talking about whether we want to, I would say close or to limit any business, as a tax person, number one, any business that dies, stop paying taxes. And this is not a tax on the business, it's a tax on the bettor or the consumer who hopes to win X or Y. But at the end of the day, we're all winners, because the more revenue that's available to government, the more government can do for you. We've got to also realize that 85% of the VAT goes to the various state governments that are supposed to be closer to you and I. So I think in this process, all of us will be winners.
For clearer perspectives, Tax Matters spoke to the project drivers.
So when you talk about the gaming and the lottery sector, who and who are you referring to?
Everybody that's doing sports betting or any type of game, that has elements of game of chance. Those are part of the gaming. Even lottery operators are gaming, but because what they do is a game. It's all a game of chance.
Inclusive of those on the streets?
Yeah, the corners, those are the agents. Those are actually the agents that are selling the tickets, for the operator. So they've already been captured through their operators. So they, even though they're on the street selling, right, they're selling to the consumers, they're selling to the players. They're all inclusive. They're all stakeholders in the industry.
So what is the aim of this automation of VAT?
Well, the aim of the automation of the VAT is just, for accountability, transparency. Basically, we're in collaboration with FRS, and we're supposed to assist them in collecting or knowing what is collectible when it comes to consumer tax.
So who will now pay this VAT? Is it the beta or the operators?
It comes, there's a transition, it comes from the beta, and then the operator will collect it through his agent, and then the operator will now remit it to FRS.
When you say the gaming and the lottery sector, who and who are you referring to?
Well, we're referring to gamers. This comprises the sport betting world, the mobile lotteries, and also lottery companies such as Baba Ijebu, Premier Lotos. Those companies comprise the core lottery operators in the industry. This is an all-embracing thing. It covers the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. It involves the high and the low. It may interest you to note that we have over 60 million betting players in Nigeria as we speak, and it's growing. Because of the population that we have, more youthful population that we have, the demographics reflects that we have more youth, and they are very ardent players of these bets because of the culture that we have for soccer in Nigeria. People bet a lot on these platforms, and of course government must get what we call this tax, 5% VAT. The government pays charges every consumption should be returned to government. And in our sector, there's a certain percentage, which is 20%, which is expected to be returned to government for good causes, and for which our agency, the National Lottery Trust Fund, takes custody and channel it towards developing infrastructure, improving the lives of Nigerians.
When we're talking about automation now, would the FIRS be monitoring this live, or will the organizations just be reporting?
No, there's going to be a platform because the VAT automation mechanism and techniques being put in place is in conjunction with FIRS itself. We are our consultant, they are our consultants. So we are going to have a window whereby every transaction that takes place is accessible to us in FIRS. However, at the end of each month, a cumulative report will be in place, and then based on that, an invoice will be, or a demand note will be raised to the operators that this is how much of transactions that has been captured by the system. Kindly go ahead and make payments.
Well, I think the operators are concerned that with the 5% VAT, it might slow down their business. Some were concerned that this charge will go to them, and we made it clear that it is the people who come to patronize them that pay the 5%. And I think based on the understanding that we have with the stakeholders, I think we're moving in the right direction. The payment of tax will be more convenient, more transparent, more accountable to all Nigerians. And of course, that will empower, especially the state governments who get 85% of VAT, to do more for you and I.
Apart from this initiative, which other initiative does the service have is embarking on to help achieve the target for 2019?
Well, we're deploying technology. Like I said, it's not only in the gaming sector. Aviation had been put in place close to 2 years ago. Manufacturing, hotels, in all sectors of the economy. We're deploying technology to make it more convenient and more transparent.
What do you make of all of this?
Listen to Mr. Fowler.
In government, every little kobo counts. Because if you've got 1 million people paying 1 naira each, it becomes 1 million naira. And that 1 million naira can do a lot for you and I. Please let us not over signify the essence of 5%. I can assure you, somebody wants to bet 100 naira will not change his mind because of 5 naira.
There is nothing more to add except to emphasize that VAT is a consumption tax. It has nothing to do with profit or loss. It has nothing to do with winning or losing. See you next week, and remember,
it pays to pay your taxes. Have a beautiful week ahead.